Hello, beautiful humans. Do you ever feel like getting rid of everything? I know when I suffered badly from depression and anxiety, everything in my environment was a potential trigger that could send me further into the overwhelming abyss, and it still can. I would often wonder why I want to throw everything away or go on a mad cleaning frenzy when my life felt like it was falling apart. At first I thought it was because I was trying to gain control of something, which I'm sure had a part to play. But now that I've committed to my minimalistic journey, I realize that most likely a part of me knew my clutter was actually helping to drag me further into depression and anxiety. My stuff was creating a clutter, depression, and anxiety cycle that would have been exhausting even for people without mental health issues, let alone me. So it was really quite normal that with feelings of depression, getting rid of possessions was also something that crossed my mind. Now, minimalism is not a cure-all for mental health problems. There's so many factors that affect mental health, and it would be highly irresponsible for me to tell you that getting rid of possessions will get rid of your depression and anxiety just like that. But what I can tell you from my own experience is that embracing a slow, minimal life and decluttering my possessions will be the final step I need to ultimately feel like I'm in recovery from years of hell at the hands of depression and anxiety. The more people I can help from my own experience, the less it feels like depression and anxiety wasted those years of mine. Also, because we're on the subject, while minimalism is the final thing I need to do to permanently get on the recovery road, I want you to know I'm not opposed to medication when needed. So if you need an antidepressant to get you up in the morning so you can put this practice into place, then so be it. Find a good therapist and keep addressing and processing the issues that brought you to that place of depression. Right now, you may need something that just lifts the very heaviest part of the depression so that at some point down the road you can get out of bed. Looking after yourself and even decluttering your home seems like a very doable activity. Before we go on, I'd like to remind you to subscribe if you're not yet part of this slow living and minimalism community, and hit the like button so others may be able to find this content when they're looking for it on YouTube. Thank you. Now let's get on with it. So can minimalism help depression? I can tell you for sure, yes, it can. I think unless you have experienced depression or anxiety, you cannot understand the level of overwhelm this illness brings. It's literally catastrophic. The simplest things like clearing up after dinner seem unsurmountable, and to an outsider, it can just look like you're procrastinating over a task you don't want to do. Luckily, the biggest side effect of minimalism is a reduction in overwhelm, and as soon as that stuff goes out the door, you will instantly feel lighter and more capable. Honestly, it's a magical feeling. Plus, this feeling continues because when you declutter properly, you will probably get rid of at least half of your stuff. Stuff that previously needed tidying, maintaining, and that you felt you should be using. So when that stuff goes for good, the mental load from each of those objects also goes for good. It can also increase your energy. When you have a chronic health condition, whether that's a physical or mental, energy is in short supply. And you know what takes energy? Constant tidying, cleaning, and maintaining of your stuff and yourself. I know as I continue to declutter my own home, I suddenly have more time just because I'm not continuously needing to tidy or clean. Plus, all that extra energy and time can be used for self-care and other things that I love to do. Minimalism can also reduce overstimulation. You know, when you're trying to do work, but people are like talking, or you can hear a TV in the distance, the kettle's boiling, or you just can't concentrate, it's probably because you're being overstimulated. Overstimulation is basically your brain yelling at you because there's so much going on and you don't know what to do. And for many of us, particularly those of us recovering from depression and anxiety, clutter and mess can be very strong triggers to overstimulation, which in turn leads to feelings of overwhelm and a reduction in energy due to the mental load of having to deal with the stuff. And mess and clutter can easily cause guilt because you feel like you should be tidying. You can also feel a lot of guilt if you don't use certain things like gifts someone gave you, or if you bought some expensive clothes and don't wear them. Guilt is very much a negative emotion, and something I always found was that it was easier for my anxiety and depression to be triggered if I already had a foundation negative emotion like guilt. Guilt saps your energy, and like I mentioned earlier, if you're already unwell, your energy is already depleted. If items are causing you guilt or any other negative emotion, then just get rid of them. Your mental health is far more important. And minimalism reduces mental load. I've mentioned mental load a couple of times already, but I think it's important enough to warrant its own focus. Mental load was recently brought into the mainstream when a French artist called Emma created a comic illustrating how females are often left to be managers of the household, and this creates a mental load leading to exhaustion and inequality. I personally think the idea of mental load can be applied to many other situations. For example, the mental load of having, let's say, 4 cars compared to 1 car is massive. Think of all the extra servicing, licensing, insurance you have to remember to do for those 3 extra cars. But minimalism reduces the mental load of stuff purely because you're reducing the amount of stuff you have. This in turn reduces exhaustion, overwhelm, guilt, and gives you more time that can be dedicated to self-care, slowing down, and just enjoying life. Minimalism can also reduce decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is a subject that fascinates me, especially because I think that and mental load are 2 of the biggest time and energy sucks in our modern day society. We only have so much useful decision-making ability in one day. For example, have you ever got home from a long day at work and were unable to decide what to have for dinner? It felt like making that choice was just way too hard, so you probably either went without or ended up with a bowl of cereal. That's decision fatigue. In fact, many people in high-powered positions will often wear similar clothes every day, like Mark Zuckerberg, who wears gray t-shirts each day, or Steve Jobs, who wore the black turtlenecks and jeans. Minimalism really reduces decision fatigue because we have less stuff, and what we do have, we actually like. If normally you find it difficult to decide what to wear and your mornings are stressful, if you declutter your wardrobe and embrace a more minimal approach to clothing, that wouldn't be a problem because you would only own a few things, thus less choice, and the stuff you do own you would love and feel good in. You will be surprised just how much a tidy home, where you hardly have to do anything to maintain it, and just less choice in your day-to-day life because you only surround yourself by objects you actually like and use, will seriously raise your happiness level and reduce your anxiety and depression. And minimalism saves a ton of time, mainly because you won't be spending hours choosing what to wear or tidying your home or finding your keys. And saving time can really help anxiety and depression in 2 ways. Like I mentioned before, the more time and energy you have, the more time can be dedicated to self-care and enjoying life. 2 key factors in recovery from mental illness. Also, a lack of time or being late can be a real anxiety trigger for many of us. Anything that helps increase our time and improves our time management automatically helps our anxiety levels. And minimalism helps us stop playing the comparison game. When you start on your minimalistic journey, you will begin to realize how possessions really have no impact on your happiness and contentment. This might shift away from society's conventional view of possessions of more is better, and the more someone has, the more successful they are, allows you the freedom to no longer feel like a failure or inadequate just because you don't have as much as someone else. So in the same way that reducing your time on social media makes you happier because you aren't comparing your current life with their social media perfect picture, minimalism offers a more permanent shift in the way you view possessions. So instead of having to use social media less, although you should be doing that anyway because it helps you live more in the moment, when you see those pictures of someone getting a new car or see it in real life, you no longer feel inadequate because you're driving an old car. You just see it as what the person enjoys and cares about. So that's what they decided to invest in. And this has no bearing on you whatsoever. Minimalism reduces worry. It helps you identify the more important things in life, which in turn gives you the freedom and inner permission not to worry about the less important things. For example, I'm someone that can find something to worry about in every situation if I let myself. So if I was cooking a meal for friends and burnt the main course, that could cause plenty of worry and upset. But now I realize that the important part of having dinner with friends isn't impressing them with my culinary skills, but instead the actual time spent enjoying their company. So I no longer worry if my food is adequate. Instead, I dish up something I hope is edible, knowing that if it isn't, we can find something else to eat, as I'm much more interested in hearing about my friends' lives than I am about the food I'm cooking. And minimalism reduces financial insecurity. Worrying about finances can easily trigger feelings of anxiety and depression, but because minimalism inadvertently reduces your spending, it can really help to relieve financial problems. This benefit can be twofold. If you're someone that copes with negative feelings through shopping, not only will minimalism reduce your shopping habit, thus saving money, but it will also help you deal with the reasons why you shop and help you overcome that as well. We're all in the midst of unprecedented experiences right now, coping with feelings we've never felt before, and learning how to deal with these changing times. With all of this in mind, it's important to set time aside for others, for finding ways to make the most of the situation we're in. By becoming more in touch with our experiences, we can work to find ways to change them for the better. From mental health to self-awareness to productivity, relationships, and leadership, a minimalist life can help you improve each facet of your life. I do hope you join me on this journey. And until next time, be kind to yourself.